following announcement has been paid for by the Wrestling Epicenter.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hello, ladies. Remember me? Let me talk to you, dummies.
It's now time
It's beer time. TikTok.
It's showtime!
for the longest running wrestling talk show in history.
We are huge. It's gonna be cool.
You're where it's at.
You smell like me.
Tune in each and every week.
You better keep listening, or I'll come out of your computer
And turn it on for you.
or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in.
We've been known by a few names.
The needs of the many far outweigh the needs of the few.
The Interactive Interview,
Interactive interview. Oh yeah.
Interactive interview.
The interactive interview. Interactive interview. The interactive interview.
Interactive Wrestling Radio,
Interactive wrestling radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive radio.
Interactive wrestling radio.
Interactive wrestling radio.
The Blaze,
Blaze 1260 AM. The Blaze.
The Blaze.
Blaze. The Blaze Rock.
and a lot of other names.
Weekend Warrior of Wrestling. The Pile Driver. The Epa Wrestling Center.
3 Count Wrestling.
The Hours Slam.
But it's all one show, the Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter.
The Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter, dude. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And your host from day one,
By ignorance or arrogance.
James Walsh.
Wake up, sleepyheads.
Dr. Carol House.
It all starts
What a rush. Oh, Boomer Sooner.
Thank you very much.
I got 2 words for you. Thumbs down. Breaking necks and cashing checks. Bang. I've heard a lot about you guys.
Check it out. Get out of my face. You win!
But I'm desperately out of time!
So what you gonna do when WrestleMania runs wild on you?
now.
Getting more of a babyface reaction, but I just, it's tough to get a 6'7", 350-pound guy with sympathy, you know, that babyface. So it's just always been much easier for me to work as a heel.
Now, summer of 2000, you won your first singles title with the WWE when you beat Kane for the Intercontinental title. It didn't last too long, but
I think I defended it on like 3 Sunday Night Heats and then lost to Lance Storm. It was a pretty quick run, you know. It was still pretty cool to be able to win it in Madison Square Garden against Kane. That was pretty nice. But you know, they had other plans for it, I guess. I think I was just kind of holding it on for a short time to pass it to someone.
now, do you think you would have been a lot more of a long-term champion had it not been for the invasion angle?
I definitely think the invasion angle cut that short. Yeah, I do. I'd like to think that.
Of course, you were on WrestleMania 17. You had the 6-man tag match, I believe. Is that correct?
WrestleMania 7, wow, it was a long
Houston.
Who was my partner?
X-Pac and Jeff Incredible.
Against?
Oh man, I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I think that might have been
I
on
don't
Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think that was on Heat, because I'm trying to, I remember being in a WrestleMania with Test against Al Snow and Blackman, and then,
Yeah, that was 2000.
then myself and Big Show versus Taker and Taker. And that was it. I'm pretty sure. So I think it was a Heat, that 6-man.
Okay, yeah.
Well, you mentioned The Undertaker. I wanted to ask you, I felt that a lot of your best matches with the WWE were with The Undertaker. What was it like getting to work with a big star like him?
It was awesome. It's not, you know, people don't realize that Taker he's the godfather of that locker room. He just gets so much respect from everyone. He's a good guy, and he just, you know, we developed a really close friendship. We still talk, and he was good to me. He took a, you know, he took a liking to me, and he helped me a lot in the world of wrestling. I had a lot of fun with him. My favorite match, he said those were, I like working Benoit. I thought those were some of my favorite matches.
Really? Does that bring you more to the more Japan style?
It's more of a Japan style, you know. Benoit, there was a few times when I was with WWF that they really weren't doing it with me. I was kind of stagnant. And Benoit would always tell me, you know, you should try Japan, But I never really wanted to walk away from WWE. I just always kept chance to do something bigger and better. And looking back, hindsight now, I wish I spent a lot more time at a younger age in Japan, because that style just suits me a lot more. It's more of a brawl, not so much. You don't really need a character,
Right.
which I never really had one because I just jumped around with so many characters.
Well, I hate to ask this question because it might be a little bit rude, but I noticed that when you hit people, it looks a little bit more real than when other people hit you, and Japan is known to be a little stiff. Would you consider yourself stiff at all, or do you think that you just know how to work?
No, I think stiff, stiff is when you hurt someone. Snug is when you make it look good. And I'd like to think myself as snug. I have a good reputation of not hurting people, but people always, when I went to Japan, a lot of the guys were like, lighten up a little, and the guys that are working were like, no, he's doing just fine. We're not getting hurt. So I think I'm snug. I just don't think I'm stiff. Stiff is when you hurt people, and I have yet to do that.
That's good.
Well, they trusted you with the match with Stephanie McMahon, so you must be doing something right.
I tell you what, man, I was scared shitless for that one. They wanted me to give her a headbutt, and Fit Finley came out and said, "Give me a headbutt. That's how you do it." And I gave Fit a headbutt, and I put a big egg on his head and a big egg on my head, and he's like, "Maybe we shouldn't do the headbutt." And I think it's a good idea. Do something where I grab her and she slaps me, because I did not want to hurt the boss's daughter.
On the original card for WrestleMania 19 had you and Big Show versus Undertaker and Nathan Jones. Of course, WWE had Nathan Jones taken out by the FBI on Sunday Night Heat. We've heard rumors about why that happened. From your perspective, why was Nathan Jones pulled from the match?
Nathan, Nathan was a good guy. I don't think his heart was really into wrestling, as you could tell. He's I don't think he knew what it took. The travel, the amount of time that we're on the road. He just never really developed into what I think Vince wanted him to develop into. Granted, he wasn't there very long. He may have, but I think a few of the people in the match, I really didn't have much say in it, felt that at such a big stage, he may not have been ready yet. So let's use him sparingly, and they came up with that idea.
Well, later in 2003, you were part of Brock Lesnar's Survivor Series team, and I remember you having matches with Bradshaw on SmackDown. Were you surprised that Bradshaw wound up becoming the WWE champion just a few months later?
I really was surprised, but I tell you, I really enjoyed watching him. He's a hard worker. He's been there for a while. He's good with the guys in the locker room. I think he was, did a good job. But yeah, it was shocking. He went from the APA to the champ and had a nice run with it too. It wasn't really a pushover. It did real well, I felt.
I agree.
He's good on the stick. That's huge. We know that he's good on the stick, and names to be withheld. If you're good on the stick, that can carry you a long way.
Of course, I'm not sure if you've heard about this yet. Kurt Angle and WWE this past week parted ways on Kurt's personal issues. What were your thoughts of working with Kurt, and was the recent release a surprise to you?
Yeah, of course it really surprised me. He's one of the best workers I think that's ever came through WWE. He's done it all. He made that transition from amateur wrestling to professional wrestling, and he did it when it was frowned upon for amateurs to do that. And he took the ball, and he ran with it, and he did a wonderful job. And I think his career speaks for himself, and whatever his issues were that caused release, hopefully everything works out for the best of her.
Well, I believe it was right after WrestleMania 20, they took you and they traded you from SmackDown to Raw, but I don't believe I ever saw you appear on Raw once. Why didn't they use you?
I don't know. The trade happened. We went off air, and I grabbed my bags, and I was walking to my car, and Johnny Ace pulled me aside to go and do Raw, and all right, cool. So they traded me, and then I ended up getting injured working to Jerry, and blew my shoulder out, and then got released. So never really did anything with me.
Now, did the release blindside you, or could you see it?
Oh yeah, I didn't see that coming. I blew my shoulder out. I got my surgery. I was rehabbing. Really, put myself in the mindset that I'm going to come back as a different A-train, different look. I wanted to, I try to trim up and really work my game to try to, not just come back as so many people do and leave off where I left off, where I really wanted to do something different. And, one morning I got a phone call. It was probably around 9 in the morning in Arizona, and said Johnny Ace. And as soon as I saw it, I knew. I just kind of knew, and I answered the phone. And so what's up? And he told me, and I was like, wow, I didn't see this coming. And, it's how the cookie crumbles, and so be it.
Well, is there anybody on the WWE's roster right now that you would have liked to work with?
That I would have liked to work with?
Yeah.
I have no regret. I got to work a lot of people. I had, win-loss, which isn't really important in wrestling. Right. That was pretty shitty, but I had the opportunity to, travel the world and work with a lot of great guys. I have no regrets. I don't really see much of the show anymore because I'm traveling so much back and forth to Japan. I am here. I'm relaxing with my family, so I don't really know the product right now, but I can't think of anyone on the top of my head.
Well, when you are here, on occasion you stop by Impact Zone Wrestling?
Pardon me?
I said when you are around the Arizona area, on occasion you stop by Impact Zone Wrestling.
Yeah, those guys, when I got injured and I got released, and then I started talking with Japan, and I really wanted to get back in the ring because you can't get in shape just doing cardio and stuff. And those guys were real good to me, and they invited me down to work out in their ring at their training center, and we developed a relationship, and they asked me if I'd do some shows for them, and I just felt like they were so good to me that, if I could put 5 or 10 asses in the seats, that'll help them out. So when I'm around and I can do it, and I'm not too sore, I try to do shows for them.
Just recently, WWE has been starting to scout some of those young guys in that company. And I think at least 2 of them got developmental deals. Are you surprised to see that some of those guys are getting picked up?
No, not at all. That's some good workers there. There's good workers all over the country. Now that I'm able to do some independent stuff, and I'm in Japan, I get to see some guys come in. There's just so many good workers out there, and in Arizona, there's quite a few of them. So I wasn't surprised. I did think that some of them needed a lot of work, but that's you only get as good as your competition. That's well known, and when you're in the independents, there's a cream of the crop, and then there's a lot more that are underneath that. A lot of people get stagnant, so if these get the opportunity to go to WWE and work with the best, that's when they'll see what they can do. And I think a lot of them have a lot of potential.
Now, TNA has really grown a lot in the last year or so. Do you see yourself going to that company?
No, I don't. No, I think they don't want many ex-WWE guys. I think they're trying to make their own niche. I think they took a few at the beginning, and I know like Tess and he was telling me they were interested in using him, and he just kind of kept on getting a runaround. So I kind of got the feeling that maybe they weren't too interested in picking up a lot of the WWE guys in the past. They got Rhino, they got Christian. I don't know if anyone else actually.
They got the New Age Outlaws a little while ago.
Right, New Age Outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I keep up the Japan wrestling quite a bit, and when I first got new footage of you in Japan, I was quite surprised to see that you shaved your back, and that was one of the favorite crowd chants when you were out there. Was that?
I've always wanted to shave my back, and one of the house shows I came in with my back shaved, and Vince said, "Grow it back."
So I'm taking you that you weren't that fond of shave your back gimmick or chant.
Oh, I didn't care. No, I didn't. It didn't bother me. It was a reaction, and that's good when you're in the ring. You get a good reaction. But not something that I would. I wanted to shave it. I like to. You can walk around the beach with a furry back.
Right. Now, one of the biggest, literally, opponents that American fans would probably recognize you've had over in Japan is Akebono. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, Akebono. Yep.
What were your thoughts on the match you had in the singles match?
Akebono?
Yeah.
It's funny because they're such a great guy. I mean, he was a sumo champion, and we don't get to see that a lot in the States, but I mean, they have so much respect for him. He can't walk down the street with people flocking him. And here's a guy who came over to wrestling, which is the first time that, well, not so much, but someone as high ranked as he was in the sumo world, came over to wrestling, and he just came in and he realized that, this is all new to him, and it's time, so he could put on the learning hat, and he was so good in the ring. He was really listened well, and it was one of his first matches, and we work a lot more out there. It's amazing how fire he's come. He's a hard worker. But the first time we worked, it was a so-so match, nothing great. We kind of kept it real simple, but it was an honor to be able to work with sumo champions.
Do you prefer working with guys who are smaller than you or larger than you?
I don't know. Probably a little bit smaller, just because there's more we can do, and as a heel, you tend to get a lot more sympathy when you're beating up a smaller guy. If I was, like I said before, if I'm beating up a guy with my size, you really got to put an ass kicking on him to get the people to really get behind him and want them to come back to beat me up. So it's a little bit easier working with a smaller guy, and I get a lot more moves I can do with a smaller guy. So it's probably the smaller man is easier.
Here's a bit of a bummer of a question, but I remember a smaller guy you worked with, Crash Holly, Michael Lockwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts and memories of him?
Yeah, some of my most memorable times in all of wrestling. I'm loving Japan right now, and I love WWE. Was when we first signed with something in Memphis, and we were there together.
The time is 12
Sean Stasiak,
a.m.
Kurt Angle was down there a little bit later than us, and Crash and I had a good time. We partied a lot. We used to have to go up to Louisville and run TVs up there once a week, so we'd do that 6-hour ride up and back 2 times a week. And, we really developed a closeness, and he was a good guy. He's missed. He was fun.
Now, over in Japan, a lot of guys end up just working one of the big federations. You've worked New Japan, All Japan, Big Japan. Any thoughts about going to 0-1?
So what?
Any thoughts about going over to 0-1?
I would work a show for him, but I really feel like I found a home in New Japan. I enjoy it. I love the guys there. They seem to like me. They invite me back to every tour. So, if they wanted me to work a match for them at 0-1, I would like that, but I don't see myself signing a contract with them.
What do you think of what's going on in Japan, where they're starting to, well, they've been doing it for a while, the transition more to a strong style, MMA style?
I'm sorry, strong style, MMA style?
Yeah, like more UFC style over there with their wrestling.
It's what you mean, like incorporating in a match?
Well, I mean, I've been hearing that they've been kind of trying to incorporate the two into one in terms of professional wrestling.
I just don't see that kind of, unfortunately, or unfortunately, I don't know how you want to look at it. Fans are smart these days, and, it's tough, like, when people are watching UFCs and Pride and K1s and they see these arm bars and, people tapping out on them, and then you have a wrestling match and they're using that as a hold, and the wrestler is fighting, get to the ropes, and fighting at the ropes. They know, that's when they know it's a work. So I think it's a tough mix. You see these guys getting punched and knocked out, and then you see guys throwing punches in a match. So it's a tough, you got to be very careful, I believe, when you're going to intervene in those two.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to ask you about your finishing move, a double-handed chokeslam into a powerbomb almost, but the WWE, I think they changed the name of it like 4 or 5 times. What's the actual name of the move?
I never really came up with the name. I just did it, and they started calling it the Volvo Bomb, and that's what they still call it in Japan. And then they changed it to Railer, I think. I don't know. Maybe people changed it, but it started off as the Volvo Bomb in Memphis, and that's where it stuck.
Okay.
Now, when you went over to Japan, you dropped the name A-Chain. Well, I believe you used it a couple times on a few of your first shows, and then you started using the name Giant Bernard. Where did that name come from?
I never used A-Train in Japan. When I first was going over to Japan, they asked if I wanted to use it, and I kind of wanted to put that to rest. That was here in the States, so I wanted to do something different. And the head Mr. Hawaii, who was the guy who got me over there, told me about a guy by the name of Brute Bernard, who used to work in Japan from Canada back in the 70s, and they said they wanted me to come in, and he gave me the big story about how to have the name Giant in Japan is pretty much an honor. They labeled with that, so they wanted to be his son, and they called me Giant Bernard. And again, I was just so excited to get over there. I really didn't care what they were going to call me. I just wanted to go over there and make a good showing. And that's just how it stuck, and that's what I am now.
Now, I would imagine one of the toughest things about going over to Japan is the language barrier. Have you started to break that a little bit?
Yeah, actually I have. I studied a lot. I really enjoy going over there, so I feel that it's courtesy to pick up their language. So I'm trying to pick it up. Tough language, though.
Could you do us a favor? Could you say something to us in Japanese?
Ohio gozaimasu.
Did you just curse me?
Yeah, I did, but I can if you want me to. No, I said good afternoon, guys.
Okay, good.
What do you think about Brock Lesnar going over to Japan and becoming a big star? I heard he won the New Japan World Heavyweight title or something like that.
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah, they put the title on Brock, and he went over there a few times, and unfortunately, I don't think Brock was really there to make New Japan a better company. He would tour once a tour, if that. And I felt that, as a New Japan champion, they need to see him on the shows. And Brock wasn't about that. He was going over there once a month and doing his thing. And obviously, Brock's heart wasn't into it because now he left that and walked out on them when he was supposed to do a belt switch, and he didn't want to do that. So he's now doing shoot fighting.
Do you feel that he rumors had that he walked out on the company because he didn't want to lose because of his shoot fighting career, because he thought it would look bad? Do you feel that was the reason?
That's the rumor, and we've all talked to Akibono, and Akibono said that's bullshit because MMA knows that wrestling is a work and MMA is a shoot, and I don't think that would hurt him at all. But Brock has his own I don't know what I'm looking for, his own intentions in hand, and just worried about himself.
Do you think he probably came over just basically to stick it to Vince?
No, I don't think it was just to stick it to Vince. I think it was just to make some money. He tried to give football a shot, and that didn't work out. And then he couldn't work in the States, so he had to make some money somehow, and that's what he wanted to do.
Speaking of Brock Lesnar, when Brock left WWE in 2004, he was still on SmackDown, and you were at that point too, hadn't been drafted. Did it come as a huge shock to the locker room when he made the announcement at WrestleMania weekend?
Yeah, it was a shock. I knew about it. Brock actually spoke about it before, and he asked what I thought about it. I give, in that situation right there, I give Brock credit. He was, had the opportunity to go down in history as one of the best. And he was going to get paid real well, and he wasn't happy. And for someone to walk away from what he walked away from because he wasn't happy, you got to respect that. He wanted to live it, one of his dreams was to play professional football, and he gave it a shot. And not a lot of people would do that. A lot of people just swallow it and go to work every day and make their money and not be happy. But Brock wasn't happy doing that. And I respect him in that manner. But other ways, I don't.
Was there any heat between you and him after that incident on SmackDown where he dropped you on your head?
No, not whatsoever. Not whatsoever. That was a mistake. Mistake happened in the ring. He was visibly upset when I came back. When I was in the hospital, he called me almost every hour just to make sure I was okay. That was a mistake. We all know mistakes happen in wrestling. Go in the ring knowing that may happen. And luckily, someone was watching me that night because when I walked back, I was pretty lucky to walk out of it.
Some other guys you've worked with over in Japan, Johnny the Bull, Chuck Colombo, and Ekmo Batu, otherwise known as Jamal or now Umaga. I know you're not keeping up with the product that much, but have you seen any of Umaga in WWE?
Yeah, I have. I tell you, man, he's got the best finish in the business. He can do it to anyone. I'm happy for him. He was at WWE and things didn't work out. He went over to Japan, honed his skills, got a lot better, and now he's making the most of the opportunity. You can't blame the guy for that. He's running with it.
Would you say that Japan is probably the best place to go if you want to hone your skills and become a great in-ring performer?
Like I said before, Japan, you don't have to deal with all that the backstage promos, and you don't got to worry about your character. You just go there, and like you said before, it's a strong style. So you definitely learn how to wrestle. But at the same token, if you plan on going back to WWE, somehow, whether you're back at home talking in the mirror, you got to learn how to keep that character going because WWE is all about having a character. I mean, you know that. And but Japan definitely helps your in-ring wrestling abilities. But to polish your character, you don't do any of that in Japan.
Now, had you wanted to use the name A-Train or Albert, could you have? Do you own the rights to that name?
Could I have used it in Japan?
Yeah.
Yes, I could have. The copyright laws don't carry overseas. Only in America, in the States, I can't use A-Train.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that. So does that mean, does Vince own the rights to the name in the States?
In In the States, I can't use age limit.
Okay. Are there any opponents? You mentioned that you fought so many of the greats. Is there any people out there right now in Japan or in the States that you'd like to face?
Yeah, like Kobashi. I mean, I've followed Japanese wrestling for a long time, and I'd love to work him. There's so many, there's a lot of Japanese guys who love to work. In the States, that was a good match. I mean, Kobashi doesn't have many bad matches, I don't think.
Yeah, I hold that as being one of ROH's 5 best matches.
Yeah, I would have to, I haven't seen many of ROH, but I saw that match, but I mean, that was a great match. And just look at the fan reaction. They were going nuts.
It was a chop fest. The fans were so into that match.
Yeah, it was a chop fest. I don't know if you guys get to see much Japan wrestling. Kobashi worked Kensuke, and they had a match, and it was a Tokyo Dome. And no word of a lie, guys. I mean, there wasn't a rest in between. They must have chopped each other for 5 minutes straight. And then the next day, Kensuke came into the All Japan locker room. We had a show, and his chest was like roast beef. It was brutal. And the people, at 2 minutes into it, they went crazy. Then they died back down. And then 4 minutes into it, they came up again. I mean, to get people to come back up from the same spot was, pretty cool for those two. It was amazing. I wouldn't have done it, I'll tell you that. I would have tapped out. I ain't ashamed to say it either.
We mentioned quite a few team partners in this interview. From Tess to Draw to Scotty. Has there any? You mentioned you're good friends with Tess. Would you classify Tess as being your favorite tag partner to work with?
Tess was up there, but as short as it was, one of my closest friends to this day was Scotty Tuhati, and we had a good time. And I don't know what they were thinking, putting me with them and having me do the warm-up because I was having a seizure. I tried to do it, but, I went out there and I tried to show them something different. And, we came to the back, and Pat Patterson came up to us and put it over like it was the best thing he ever saw. And, we thought, things were really going to happen. That kind of died 2 months into it. But, I think it was my first time being a babyface, and it would have been nice to practice that on the house shows and all. But, it ended pretty quick, and I thought we had an opportunity to maybe do something good.
Yeah, I remember seeing it for the first time. I think the guys debuted on Jack's show together, which most people didn't see. And if you guys didn't last that long, did you feel that breakup became premature?
Do I think what?
That breakup became premature?
Did it end premature?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, a ton of things in WWE. I mean, why did break up too cool? I mean, that was putting ass in seats and selling merchandise. For some reason, someone didn't like it. And I think they do that a lot. What the reason is, I have no idea, so I couldn't even give it.
Do you think that maybe having so many pay-per-views a year pressures them to end things quickly and move on to new things a lot faster than they used to a decade ago?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, that could be. But I don't think they have too many pay-per-views. I think they need it now with the internet and now with, there's so many shows and TV spots. And, I mean, there's so many other things out there that are putting, you look at the UFC, you look at Pride, they're putting pay-per-views on all the time. So if Vince wants to stay competitive, he needs to do the same thing. And I don't think that, I don't know what it is. I really don't know. Truthfully, I don't even think about it, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Okay. That's all I have for questions. What about you, Patrick?
I'd like to do a few word associations before we let you go, if that's okay.
All right.
Okay, I think you've done this before?
I've done this.
Okay, first name I have for you is X-Pac.
X-Pac. X-Pac. I mean, I had one word, then I just thought of his tape he made. There's so many different, unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. How about the Undertaker?
Undertaker, respect.
All right, Test.
Dickhead. I hope he sees that. God, I hope he sees that.
All right, Hulk Hogan.
Icon.
And the last name I have for you is...
Hot daughter.
What?
I said hot daughter.
All right, the last name I have for you is Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon. there's so many. I guess, look, first thing that comes to mind is just a great businessman, but shrewd. There's so many that come to my mind. Just the mastermind of the field of wrestling, I think.
Oh, well, that's all I have for you. You got any more you want to throw in, Chad?
Before we let him go, if you could give us a quick station identification.
A quick what?
Station identification. Just basically.
Station identification. What do you want me to say? What is it?
Say your name, and you're listening to the Weekend Warriors of Wrestling on the WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Hold on. My name and what?
Say you're listening to the Weekend Warriors of Wrestling.
Weekend Warriors of Wrestling.
On the WrestlingEpicenter.com.
So Weekend Warriors of Wrestling on the what?
WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Weekend Warriors of Wrestling on that Wrestling Epicenter?
Yeah.
On the Wrestling Epicenter, and that's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Just on me, or you guys gonna give me a countdown?
I'll give you a countdown. All right, you got that.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is A-Train, otherwise known as Giant Bernard. You're listening to me on the Weekend Warriors of Wrestling on the Wrestling Epicenter.
The preceding announcement was paid for by the Wrestling Epicenter.
I'm listening, and if you like what you heard, I'm glad. If you didn't like what you heard, well, go fuck yourself.
Most people don't hung up on me.
We had a lovely conversation.
What a show.
Oh, mercy, Daddy.
On your radio dial.
Don't hang up. Bye-bye.